Welcome to Jobbed Out, the wrestling editorial that reminds you that there's only one time every year where people specifically watch the ads instead of skipping them. The Super Bowl is over and done with for another year, and with no XFL to take over, football fans will disperse in hopes of finding a new weekly hobby. Wrestling tries year after year to fill that hole in football fans' hearts to varying success. The same can be said for football players too, as when it's time to wind down on the gridiron, many take a chance in the squared circle, again, to varying success. Ron Simmons, Brian Pillman, Bill Goldberg, some might even find more success in the ring than they did on the field. But today, I want to take a look at some legends. The greatest football players to swap their shoulder pads for a singlet. And a quick spoiler here, no, Lawrence Taylor is not on this list. So without further ado, here's Freaks 5 pro wrestlers who also played in the Super Bowl. Number 5. Rob Gronkowski.
What's up, butt munchers?
Let's start off with the freshest of the bunch. Gronk is a New England Patriots legend. The tight end helped the Patriots find their way to the Super Bowl 5 times, winning the big game 3 times alongside Tom Brady and coach Bill Belichick. Gronk set a number of team and league records along the way, too. His WWE career? Not so much. You'd think Gronk, with his party lifestyle and larger-than-life personality, would translate well into pro wrestling, but it seems like he was snake-bit from the very start. Nearly unable to debut because security wasn't clued in on the plans at WrestleMania, and, well... You know the expression, dance like nobody is watching? This was right after COVID shut the world down, literally leaving 0 in attendance for his first appearance after signing a WWE contract. He would win the 24/7 championship, but then unretire from the NFL so he could rejoin Tom Brady in Tampa. This of course forced the WWE to void his contract due to what fans now know as the Pac-Man Jones rule. He would rekindle his magic with Brady and win the Super Bowl a 4th time. First with the Buccaneers in 2021. Number 4. Pat McAfee. We all know my position when it comes to Pat McAfee's wrestling debut, even if all the hate is coming from football fans who don't know jack about pro wrestling. Like, at all. The hilarious thing is, I defended McAfee in another video, but damned if those marks are gonna listen, cause I hurt their hero's feelings. Anyway, McAfee spent his entire football career, 8 years, with the Indianapolis Colts, punting their way to the Super Bowl once unsuccessfully. He also accidentally tweeted a picture of teammate Andrew Luck almost nude, but that's not the most embarrassing thing Pat McAfee would end up doing. He joined the WWE as a guest analyst on their kickoff shows and did a damn good job, but of course that had to lead to a feud with NXT headliner Adam Cole. They kayfabed their rivalry all the way to a match that was a great display of moves, but a horrible display of storytelling. But now I'm just talking in circles. He would figure his character out and become a proper, arrogant, cowardly, rich heel before getting sent home from the WWE for focusing more on getting himself over than the people he was actually working with. Number 3. Monty Brown. The alpha male spent 3 of his 4 NFL seasons with the Buffalo Bills, when the Bills were a much better team than they are now, even competing in a losing effort at Super Bowl 28 as a rookie linebacker. In his 4th season, he would sign with the New England Patriots so that he would be closer to WWF's headquarters in Stamford. He wouldn't join the WWE until 10 years later though, after making a name for himself as a rising star in TNA. When he did make it to the show, he'd be renamed Marcus Corvon and would be drafted to the rebooted ECW where he would spend less than 1 year. Brown would end up leaving the WWE and wrestling entirely before the end of 2007 so he could take care of his ailing sister. Number 2. Steve McMichael.
Never mind that shit. Here comes Mungo.
McMichael's 15-year NFL career was highlighted by a lone championship at Super Bowl 20 with the Chicago Bears. He would spend 13 of his 15 years with the Bears, bookended by single seasons with New England and Green Bay, both of whom he would trash while waving the Chicago flag through and through. A year after his football career came to an end, he would be a part of the road to WrestleMania as a member of Lawrence Taylor's entourage and even getting physical with the future Godfather on Raw. And you best believe Vince McMahon wanted McMichael on his roster for his size and charisma, but in the end, Georgia had the money. He would become a color commentator in WCW only 5 months later. He'd join the Four Horsemen a year after that and win the WCW US title in 1997. His biggest contribution to wrestling, though, arguably, is similar to that of Mark Merrow, because without Steve McMichael, the wrestling world would have never been introduced to his then wife of 13 years, Deborah. Now, before I get to number 1, I do have a few honorable mentions. Kevin Green, 15 years as a player, 10 years as a coach, 2 Super Bowl appearances as a player, and 1 championship ring as a coach of the Green Bay Packers. Kevin Green made several appearances in WCW, most notably being betrayed by Steve McMichael as Mongo joined the Four Horsemen. He also had a huge hand in Bill Goldberg joining the business, so yeah, thanks a lot, Kev. Harvey Martin. The world-class championship wrestling commentator would take home not just a championship ring, but also MVP honors at Super Bowl XII in 1978. He would make a second Super Bowl appearance the following year in a losing effort. Wahoo McDaniel. You have no idea how badly I wanted to put Wahoo on this list. The wrestling legend would win an AFL championship in 1960 with the Houston Oilers, sadly 7 years before the AFL champions would even begin competing with the top NFL team in the big game. So after all that, from football legends to wrestling gods, who is the number 1 pro wrestler to have competed at the Super Bowl? It's time! It's number 1, Vader time. Not to be confused with the other NFL player named Leon White, Vader played in the NFL for only 1 year, but in that 1 year, took home an NFC championship ring before losing at Super Bowl 14. I know, it's not as impressive as Gronk or Mongo, but you've heard of Vader the wrestler, right? He's a 3-time IWGP Heavyweight Champion with New Japan. He's twice a Triple Crown Heavyweight Champ with All Japan. 3 times WCW World Heavyweight Champion. He even won a Slammy for beating up Gorilla Monsoon once. He would have been WWF Champion too if Vince McMahon could get over his hang-ups about stars from elsewhere. Also, if he would ever put his foot down and rope Shawn Michaels in when he'd get into prima donna mode.
Michaels kicking Vader!
The mastodon known as Big Van Vader is simply the best pro wrestler to have ever competed at the Super Bowl. With that said, there are a few names I did leave off this list, so I want you to tell me, of all the football players turned wrestlers, who do you think were the best ones and why? Let me know in the comments and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more, because I want you to be a part of this conversation too. For now though, I better get my shoulders off the mat, so I want to thank you for tuning in to Jobbed Out. I'll catch you next time.